although in this group of 8 here, the 4 strongest riders are the riders that are in front, but let's not discount the guys that are in this group behind. It's going to get rather tactical come the end. It might be a situation where, dare I say it, that when we come off, that you know that first attack, I'm not going to say anybody's going to do a Ben Healy, of course, but that first attack, catch everybody napping. We already can see it already that there's a lot kind of marking out and a lot of looking at each other, so that first attack might be the one.
Well, 8 riders, 8 teams. Ordinarily, people like to be in the sort of second or third attack. No one necessarily ordinarily wants to do the first attack, but you reckon because there'll be a lot of eyeballing that actually that first one, if it's timed right, could well be the one?
I think so. This big opportunity, and just as I say it, what happens?
Boom. Tim Wellens, was he kidding? Oh, this is a big investment. He's not kidding now. This is a real one here from the Belgian national road race champion, carrying good form into the Tour de France. And how important has he been for Tadej Pogacar over the last couple of days? If anything, he got a bit of a day off yesterday. In actual fact, he didn't have quite as many duties to perform as he had done on the previous day. And Warren Barguil recognises the danger and the opportunity of that one. Quinn Simmons as well. And this is a challenging part of the road, as evidenced by the presence of so many spectators. Wellens on the pedals there, maybe just his director in the car having a little look at fellow viewer, spotted the opportunity. Wellens clear, and Barguil desperate and frantic to get on terms, and I don't think anyone has, but well, just as I say it, Rodriguez, who worked so hard to get himself into position with Senko as well.
Barguil's not giving up, but his legs have given out a little bit. Strong attack here from Wellens, and just as I said, I thought he was more kind of playing it smart than having nothing left. But I think Quinn Simmons knows that he's the man to go with. Just when it all came back together, that kind of element of surprise, bang. Didn't think we'd see another Ben Healy. It's not over yet, of course, but this is a strong effort here from Tim Wellens.
Oh, Quinn Simmons will be hopping mad if Tim Wellens races clear to take the success. Here's Rodriguez now fighting a rearguard action to stay involved at the front of the race. Lutsenko as well also has been detached.
Oh, Quinn Simmons moves over. Vlasov is in his last legs. Victor Campenaerts doesn't have it, so this could be it. First attack could be it.
And the man you called, yeah, he was boxing clever. He knows how to time it. He knows how to strategize this. He knows how to distribute his energy across the full 169.3 kilometers. The question is, has he got the energy required over the remaining 42 and a bit? Well, they're all starting to look around. They need to work together now, but this is a very committed and strong performance from Tim Wellens. The UAE Team Emirates squad going for yet another stage success for the team.
The thing is, he did this 4 weeks ago in the Belgian National Championships, a long breakaway on his own, and he looks strong. Look, although you can feign, looking tired, I think he was playing a good game there. He was playing a real good game of poker there, not going with the attacks, because everybody will know that he's strong enough to deliver this type of performance, and he's going at the same kilometres to go as Ben Healy has gone. So yeah, that first attack, that element of surprise, just when the two groups come together, because psychologically, we're back, you know what I mean, I've got an opportunity, and the guys in front go, right, okay, we've been caught here. So it was that saving that game of poker that he's been playing the whole day today. Tim Wellens has been ducking and diving and doing what he could do.
Yeah, that's the sport of cycle road racing. It is important to eat your dinner off your rival's plate before you start on your own. And now he is starting on his own dinner, and his own energy resources is nothing to be held back at this point. He has, I think, has he been a time trial champion of
yes, I think he has.
Yes. So he's certainly pretty good racing solo. Of course, road racing is a different thing altogether at any rate, but he's pretty good at it, and he is stealing a little look over his shoulder. He'll get great encouragement from that one. Up to 13 seconds already. Carlos Rodriguez riding out of contention, I think, in this one.
Just when it all came back together as a group of 8, it just went boom, and it's all like disintegrated again. The telling tale for me is the fact that Barguil, his legs just went pop. Quinn Simmons, well, he tried to come across this gap. I don't think Campanarts, he's not got a lot left. The trouble now with these guys is they'll start looking at each other because, you know, they've got pain in their legs. They want to contribute, but they want to try and think about, you know, what they can get out this stage, and that wee bit of kind of negativity behind. We never really saw it with Ben, because that was a super performance. There was nobody coming back to Ben Healy when he went. But there'll be a little bit of negativity behind, because everybody's tried real hard today, and they don't want to kind of help each other to try and come back to Wellens. They'll do a bit, but it's a different scenario altogether here. But I think Wellens went at the right time. That element of the two groups coming together when everybody thought they could relax a little bit and get a bit of a breather. Perfect timing. He went, and yet again it looks as if the first attack is done it.
19 seconds to the good. Will it continue to rise? Will it diminish? Rodriguez frantically trying to get on terms with the second group on the road. Rodriguez potentially trying to race up and move up a position on general classification as well. Peloton still showing it at 6 minutes. Pretty good news for Ben Healy and Tobias Hallen-Johansson that Rodriguez is riding on his own at this point. Pretty good news for the UAE Team Emirates squad that they've got Tim Wellens in prime position, heading to the rest day. Canopy stage honours for the Belgian champion. As we get a look at the main peloton, it's certainly changed hue of late, as Mathieu van der Poel is dragged back with Jake Stewart. And the EF Education Easy Post squad trying to, and indeed the Uae'S Mobility, not allowing. They're not giving away, I suppose, a position on general classification. They've certainly been invested on the hunt for stage honours today with Nielsen Paulus, and they're just not willing to quite simply just give up that spot, so they're starting to ride a bit.
But they're going to go and start to pull, to bring down the gap and come closer. Obviously not to go and catch Michael and Nielsen.
EF Education Easy Post squads came not to entirely catch Nielsen Paulus. One up the road as well.
Yeah, he was in that big group. He's in the middle somewhere. I don't know exactly where he is, but Valgren is
3 minutes, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, he's in that group. But I don't understand why, because it's kind of irrelevant. You want to protect your place in general classification, irrelevant of whoever's in front. Was you finishing top 10 in the stage? How does that matter?
And you don't necessarily just want to close it down so Ben Healy retains his position, but also you don't want to allow Carlos Rodriguez to get much closer, because he seems to be going in the right direction in terms of form.
Yeah, you want to, first things foremost is you want to bring the gap down, irrelevant of what teammates you've got in front. Yeah, you don't want to be chasing teammates, but what your teammates going to get out today. Nielsen Paulus is going to get a top 10 performance in the stage. Michael Valgren maybe a top 15 in the stage, but that's about it. It's, if you've got to commit to riding at the front, just ride and bring back the gap towards Rodriguez, irrelevant of whoever teammates are in front of you.
Martin Mohoric also from that big move that was clear for quite a while, and he was involved in an awful lot of the attacking, but clearly he recognised the form wasn't great. He attacked first, didn't he, on that final categorised hill, and it was something of a folly, wasn't it? It was just a final flourish, knowing that he didn't quite have what it took. Meanwhile, Rodriguez is continuing to be distanced by the lone stage leader. Tim Wellens is also putting time into his closest challengers. Rodriguez holding the Barguil group at about 20 seconds at the moment. And will the peloton also losing time to Tim Wellens at the moment. So this is a really committed effort, and this is a reprise. Just get a look at it again. Timed it nicely. No quick reaction. Barguil spotting the danger. Quinn Simmons alive to it as well. You can only do what you can do. Quinn Simmons we thought might be able to make it across, but no. It's Wellens, that's the power. Long spin from here to Carcassonne today.
The thing that's going to help as well, and that will be in the calculation, is the tailwind in towards the finish as well.
Inside 35 to go, lone leader out front. Tim Wellens, not complicated. He's played the game absolutely beautifully today. Looking for information. Give me the numbers. And look at that. I mean, you can really see the power going through the pedals there, can't you? His body rocking with the effort. You can tell he's not quite on a flat road there. It's peaceful down on the lake. Tim Wellens, good season so far, and but his only recorded victories were quite obviously he's won the Belgian National Road Race Championships a few weeks ago, so that was a proud moment for him. He also won the UCI Gravel World Series event in Mali, so he won't have been too discombobulated by the slightly patchy surface they had to face on the descent of that last classified climb.
Well, this is important for him. I'll just make a comment after his team have given him some information.
How is he looking? How looks Tim? Now you should advise, he looks fabulous.
He looks great.
I think that was Pogacar talking on the radio there. So I was just looking. He's come into the Tour obviously to help Pogacar win. He's come in with some really good form, winning the way he won the Belgian Championships. He's already won stages of the Giro d'Italia and Vuelta, so he could become part of the club of Grand Tour winners in each Grand Tour. And to win today with a lucky number 7. So I was born on the 7th of the 7th, 1967. But in the Belgian Championship jersey, and I believe that when I was watching, I've been kind of watching when you and Jono were on, the way he was riding, he wasn't giving away anything, and that's why Bardet thought, yeah, we struggled. He wasn't struggling. He's right from the stage start when he got himself in that group. He's been thinking of doing this, and to become part of that club and to win from that position, and what we're talking about it. Didn't think I'd see a Ben Healy, but it could have been the first attack, and it was.
Some who are watching cycling, you know, for a relatively short period of time might feel that the way that Tim Wellens was riding earlier on was somehow unfair to his rivals.
Yeah, of course it looks like that. But when you've got a team leader and you've got a group like that, your job is to protect that lead. Although nobody in the general classification is there, it's got to become a stage where you're in here for the stage. You have to contribute a little bit. But that group was not. It's an unwritten rule. If you've got a race lead, you can sit on a breakaway. It's always been the case. It's one of these unwritten rules. But you could argue the fact that it's not. You weren't hindering anybody from the GC because there's nobody from the GC there. So there comes a stage where you have to ask. Come on, you're looking for the stage, and the way he's played it has been spot on. The way he's feigned being, and Romain Bardet bought into it. He's on the motorbike. He bought into it that Tim Wellens is not looking so good.
Yeah, Tour de France yellow jersey. Man has finished second in the Tour de France, won stages, and he was thinking, oh, not so sure that Tim Wellens is going so well.
So he's played that card very, very well. But I could see that he is.
But there's nothing wrong with what he's doing. I mean, what he's doing is playing the game absolutely perfectly, playing the game of cycling, and in Belgium he'll be admired for this. He won't be vilified.
He was the last to come forward. He didn't slowly picked. He never thought panic, you know, and try and go with these attacks, try and go with Stora and things like that. It was a measured effort. It was like two other people thought, yeah, he's not got the effort to go with the guys that are attacking it, but it's all measured. And he came to the front over the top of the climb. So on the climb, he was like feigning a little bit, using others. Not, he could have possibly gone with Storer and that, but he wasn't. He was just
not
sitting
showing.
there.
Don't show.
Look,
Yeah.
I know, and it comes straight into my head because I'm writing my book at the moment. I'm writing sometimes the psychological side out, how to win bike races, and I've done, maybe not at this level, Tour de France, but I've done these things, feigned, and I've written it down. Of you don't show how good you are, and unfortunately for Quinn Simmons, he was always going to be a target because he's shown everybody how strong he is today.
Yeah, there's no point in. It doesn't matter if you're the strongest if you don't get to the finish line first.
Yeah, exactly. So he has been using it. What got to me was the way he picked off Campanarts. He just sat in his wheel like Campanarts will do this job for me. And then over the top of the climb, when Storer was going on the attack, he just let the gap go a little bit, and then he came to the front again. And it's that wee effort that showed to me that he's feigning this. He's not. He's good today, and he's trying to lull everybody else into thinking that he's not. He was saving the whole time for that one effort. And again, for the second time, we're seeing someone going from a similar distance, Ben Healy distance, and the first attack.
He's a clever rider, there's no doubt about it. And Tim Wellens, he's a university graduate, of course, isn't he? And he's, like every Belgian, he's got a PhD in how to ride a bike race. It's more than hoodwinking. This is perfectly put together, perfectly pieced together, and potentially second road race success of the season, coming in the highest stage of all, highest form of cycling of all, and potentially on his way to getting the hat-trick. Victories in all three Grand Tours. 2 in Vuelta a España, 2 in Giro d'Italia. Now the victory in Le Grand Boucle. The chase group reassembles. Rodriguez has got a little bit of company. He's now 113 behind the race leader. I wonder how far back the main peloton. I wonder how well the EF Education Easy Posts are getting on. Up front though, inside 28 to go. Well, Wellens is absolutely flying. Now north of a minute and still going in the right direction. The topography, I suppose, to his advantage. It's a little bit of downhill. Of course, that's the same advantage that the rider's chasing, but at any rate, and something that Brian has pointed out is that it's a little bit of a tailwind from now to the end of the finish. He's continuing to expand his advantage, and generally speaking, you kind of hold what you have. We're plunging downhill. He's got a small ramp coming up, very small ramp coming up in the next kilometre. It's 24.8, just a ramp up for about half a kilometre, and then we're back running downhill, and it's pretty much downhill all the way to about 10 kilometres to go. Another 16 kilometres with just that one little segment of 500-600 metres where he'll have to get his climbing legs on again. He'll be up and over it before he notices it. It's actually fully a kilometre, actually, I think, at 3.3%, so not entirely insignificant, but the way he's going, looks like it's a cruise through Occitanie for Tim Wellens. Meanwhile, still showing at 650, so that's 550, maybe a 545-ish. Well, at the moment, Carlos Rodriguez still potentially going to move up from 10th to 9th place overall. Lots of work still to be done for the EF Education Easy Post squad. Rodriguez has company, and that will be a help to him. Third place group on the road looks as if it could well join up with the Barguil group to make it a sizable chase group behind Tim Wellens, albeit one that doesn't seem to have anything like the same strength as the Belgian.
No, just look at the speed. He's going up 25 k's to go. He's motoring slightly downhill. you know, with a bit more of a kind of tailwind now. So, you know, this stage is done and dusted with regards to, you know, who's going to win. It was, you know, if you watch it from start to finish again, it's just been 61 kilometres an hour there. It's been a masterclass of how to navigate through a stage. Do what you need to do, but don't do too much.
At the bare minimum and no more, save a little bit of your energy for when it's needed. Parse it out across the days. Meanwhile, Rodriguez is still solo. I did think he had a little bit of company, but looking still to try and move up one place on Jack. Nearest chasers to your solo raider at front as we move into the final phase of what's been a hugely entertaining 15th stage of Tour de France. The riders making their way from Uae'S to Carcassonne today, 169.3 kilometres. Down to the final 24. Carlos Rodriguez, who's chasing on the road solo. He's out of the hunt for stage honours, you would imagine, at this point. Potentially going to join up with the nearest group of chasers behind Tim Wellens very shortly. And importantly for him, potentially with an opportunity to move up one place overall. Started yesterday in 11th place, up into the top 10, and still with plenty to race for. Average speed still almost 46 kilometers per hour, and only going to go north of that. The way that the road is to the advantage of the riders. Mostly descent from now to the end. There's one little short segment uphill, but it's either downhill or on a flat road from there to the finish. And look at this for a really committed effort, and it's hot work as well. It's been relatively overcast, and that will be welcome for the riders. That's pulled the temperature back a little bit today. We're looking at sort of 26 to 30 degrees Celsius. This part of France in July tends to be oppressively hot, incredibly dead air that they'll have to deal with. A bit of encouragement there from the team car. Not sure.
He's taken out, what, about a minute on the yellow jersey group in that attack. So he's absolutely flying. It does look as if Rodriguez, with this ride today, if they don't bring it back, you know, he's going to move into 9th place and leap over Ben Healy. But Ben Healy's still going to be in the top 10 in the Tour. But some teams will ride like that. They'll ride to keep their place in the general classification. I know it's important for some, you know, 8th, 9th, 10th, but
it's UCI points as well for the EFM. I don't think they're in trouble, but you know, there's prize money as well. It's all small, relatively minor considerations, but it's a reason, isn't it, to make a bit of an effort. Not sure what this particular tribute is, but clearly military display. And in a flash, the riders whiz past. Tour de France has been and gone. Rodriguez is struggling, isn't he? I mean, he had to fight just to get in there, and well,
we forgot about these, didn't we?
They're still racing. What a race.
Romeo, Van Aert. Big stage for Van Aert today, and just didn't have the legs to go with the front runners. And normally you would see Van Aert would been in that group, but that long climb, that long climb, he just never Wout van Aert, maybe of old, not that he's really old, would have been there, but unfortunately today, like Matthew van der Poel, just a little bit too much.
Chasers behind Uae'S in combine with EF Education Easy Post, and not really making the inroads on that Barguil group that they need to. That's the group that includes Carlos Rodriguez. That's why they're invested here.
This Van Aert group could be coming back to the Barguil group. Caden Groves.
Groves is dropping back into the clutches of the main peloton. Tadej Pogacar watching with fascination and interest, and trying to keep tabs on what's happening up front, as his teammate potentially is going to be the second winner for the UAE Team Emirates.
Was that Verschure that was in there? He's not doing himself any help in the general classification, because he's now second last.
Yeah, he's not going to win that.
And now he's gaining minutes now.
Well, I remember a few years ago when Sam Bennett was Lantern Rouge, and he said, "I don't want to be last." You know, nobody wants to be last in a bicycle race. It's even though for some there's a great honour in it, and there's always great support for the final rider in general classification in the Tour de France, because just completing the event, just getting picked to ride it, is an amazing honour in cycling. Getting around the full 3 weeks, a remarkable thing. But I think in many ways it's a good thing that they're fighting not to be last, because then you get a real sense of just how there's so many different narratives right throughout the general classification, aren't there? And so many different stories to be told, not least from this man cruising along at a mere 57 kilometers per hour. That's the flat road, really gets that big gear going. It's quite the sight to behold, isn't it? 62 kilometers per hour. I don't think it's quite downhill either, entirely. Not exactly a flat road. He's able to keep up with the gear. Meanwhile, Van Aert and Romeo still well north of the peloton. Are they going to be able to close down a minute to get to the second group on the road? They're going to be kept motivated by the team car, kept abreast of the opportunity. It does look as if he's coming down to about 44 seconds. Wellens continues to put time into them. I'd be fascinated to get the reaction from the likes of Quinn Simmons and others after this one. This has been a canny ride right down on the very bottom, looking for the biggest gear he can possibly get. Going to Tour Guangxi later in the year for well, let's chat about gears in a little while. Meanwhile, let's talk about Quinn Simmons, who's increasingly frustrated. It's potentially going to be another second place finish on the stage today to go with his runner-up spot from stage 6. The US National Road Race champion has been so strong throughout this event. It has, it would appear, been defeated by Tim Wellens. Still 16 kilometers to go, but well, they're just going to fight amongst themselves at this point for the runner-up spot.
It must be frustrating for Simmons. He was well beaten by Ben Healy in stage 6, and now again today Tim Wellens doing exactly what Ben Healy did the other day. You know, he gets himself in a race-winning move and just comes up that little bit short. I just think he does too much. He's shown too much.
Car will be up in a moment for Tim Wellens as he rolls through 15 kilometers to go, trying to keep as cool, calm and collected as he possibly can. Settles into time trial mode behind. Well, the attacks neutralised, the latest one from Quinn Simmons. Barguil might just try and float off the front. Storrs letting nothing go clear.
Campenaert's thought about that, but I'm just looking at the time gap with Van Aert. Van Aert could be coming.
Campenaerts, yeah, I did think he might just try and cruise off the front there, but no, he just wants to keep the chain tight and keep the pursuit at a reasonable level. Don't let anyone in.
It's his son's second birthday today, Jerome.
What a birthday present.
Well, that was Van Aert. He's not winning today.
It's victory for Belgium. Hot work, isn't it? How many bidons has he thrown over himself in the last little while?
Yeah, it's overcast, but you see people at the side of the road. There's a gentleman there with his top off. It's still warm enough, but as you mentioned earlier in the programme, that it can be blazing hot in this part of the world, and it has been in the past. Bear a thought for the Jonathan Milan and co. There must be minutes down. They must be about 20 odd minutes down.
Yeah, I mean, if the peloton are 7:19 down, then it's fair to say that, yeah, like you say, 19:20 is going to be a while before they come in. It's the kind of gaps that we became familiar with in days of yore. There you go, 28.5 degrees Celsius, dead air out there. Wout van Aert still chasing. Maybe there's a runner-up spot. Maybe it could be a 1-2 for Belgium today. Maybe even a 1-2-3. Victor Kampenaerts up the road. And, more chasers behind as well. There could be quite the reassembly.
Yeah, that's the trouble we've got. We get limited TV bikes, and that group there is not, although they're still off the front, they haven't been given much. So that's the group just behind Wout van Aert with Michael Valgren in it.
Lack of firepower here, really. They've two from EF Education Easy Post, one rider from the Uae'S squad, and not making any significant inroads into the Rodriguez group. It has to be said, as you mentioned, worth repeating, isn't it? It's been such a tough day and a tough week as well. A lot of riders half an eye, I think, maybe on the rest day at this point.
Yep, but look at the speeds now. Almost 90 k's an hour.
I don't know what the gradient is. It's certainly not precipitous. Maybe downhill at that. Oh, it is. It's enough for him not to be able to catch up with the gears. Talking about the gears, I was just going to make mention of the fact that the UCI have a plan for Tour Guangxi, I believe, to restrict the gear size. The Wout van Aert suggested actually over the winter, and it was picked up and discussed at UCI technical level, and they've decided on a trial basis to see if by limiting the maximum gear ratio available to the riders, potentially that could limit the average speeds a little bit, and that might in a small way contribute to making the sport safer. A lot of skepticism out there. People think it's not necessarily going to make a whole lot of difference. It's probably certainly worth trying, even if it isn't in its own right going to solve every issue in cycling.
No, I don't think it's going to make much. By restricting a gear, I've been through gear restrictions as schoolboy and junior and things like that, but I don't think it's going to. When you go down a hill, it's not the size of gear that you go down a hill with. So, in fast parts, maybe the only consideration with the gear ratios would be the sprint finals. That's all. The speed that they're going in the final. That's the only thing that would be restricted. But then again, riders kind of spinning out and not be able to get top of the gear is another kind of risky thing as well. So
it might slow the wind up. I mean, it might slow the last sort of 10, 5k ever so slightly, fractionally.
But most incidents and things like that from where I've been commentating for the last 20 years, it's not on when it's racing real fast. But I mean, try it and see. But I'm failing to see where it's going to make it safer, restricting gears.
This man that was among those suggesting it, and he's got all the gear ratios available to him at the moment. If he were to be on Tour Guangxi gears, every likelihood that he wouldn't be able to pedal, not for any sustained period of time. Of course, a pro cyclist can get up to 200 revs per minute, albeit just very, very briefly indeed. And they regularly pedal at sort of 110, 120. They can do that for an unseemly long amount of time. But for the most part, your average cadence for a pro bike rider. It's still pretty high. It tends to be up around the 100 mark, whereas most mere mortals, amateurs, probably riding around at somewhere between 75 and 90. Another couple of fixer-uppers.
I think just put a roof in that, you're ready to go.
Get the roofing materials up there. Get a helicopter, I think. Amazing things to have actually managed to create back in the day. 8k remaining, last 5 miles. What seems like a cruise to glory since that first attack happened. Brian called it. He said the first one to go could well be the one to do it, and needed to be amongst the very strongest, and he was the strongest and canniest. For Tim Wellens, he is, as I mentioned, going to be the second UAE Team Emirates rider to score a stage win. That will give everyone in the team a bit of a boost, won't it? Going with the 4-stage victories for Tadej Pogačar, 5-stage wins for the UAE Team Emirates squad.
Just looking at this gap between Rodriguez and the peloton, unless anything significant happens, there's 4 minutes and 16 seconds between Ben Healy and Rodriguez at the start of the day. Unless something significant happens, then it does look as if Ben Healy will be losing that 9th place.
Yeah, you wouldn't have expected that starting the day. He'd be semi-concerned, and I don't think that Ben Healy was, he didn't show, did he? I mean, I think he was probably given his instructions not to shape or to show much out of the peloton. He did gravitate towards the front on one of the climbs, and when they got quite close to the break, and Rodriguez skipped out of it and skipped off up the road.
Yeah, when you're in the general classification fight, you do watch, you do look behind. Of course, you can't look for everybody, but I would think that, in the general classification on a day like today, that you would think of Rodriguez, Gigat, because you look at the riders that are nearest you. Gigat was at 24 minutes, so he would need, getting yourself in the right move in a stage like today, you could be gaining 10-15 minutes normally. It probably would have gone out if EF Education Easy Course, the peloton would have probably finished 10 minutes down on a stage like today. So you look behind of who is there, and right behind Ben Healy was Rodriguez, and yet he gets himself in this move. You have to beg the question, he should have been possibly a marked man.
Yes. And now massed ranks of the EF Education Easy Post squad, with one assistant from the Uae'S team now increasingly frantic in their efforts to get on terms with the Rodriguez group. It's down to a smidgen over 5 minutes now at this point, the gap between Rodriguez group and the main peloton. 4:16 between Ben Healy and Carlos Rodriguez. Price Harlan Johansson, I think, will hang on to his 8th place, and Ben Healy will slip to 10th. Well, just the minor talking points from what's been a fairly busy day. We had the hectic all-action start to the day when they raced out of Moray, and quite early on a crash that's delayed many riders, significantly so. The final rider to get to his feet and get back on his bike, Julian Alaphilippe, clutching his shoulder. We feared for his further participation in Tour de France 2025, but lo and behold, and all of a sudden he was back in the main peloton, then off the front of it, and trying to get involved in all the racing. Didn't work out for stage honours for him, but he was, I think, relieved to have survived that one, as indeed were Jonas Vingegaard, who was delayed. Took him a while to get back on. Florian Lipovitz, he had the entire Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe squad around him, with the exception, I suppose, of Primož Roglic, and well, they managed to fix that little difficulty, and Lipovitz third, starting the day. The leader of the young rider classification will continue to maintain those positions heading into the rest day. There was a major talking point earlier on, and then with a series of attacks and counter-attacks, and the different moves sort of establishing and forming out front, and then reforming as riders got dropped and others came across. It's been it's almost hard to grasp the amount of different things that have happened on such a fabulous day of bike racing. Lots of chat about whether this would look like a bit of a classics day today. It's been all of that.
It's been ever changing. I'm just looking at Victor Campenaerts here. He seems to be kind of holding off to potentially look for a moment to surprise. One everybody knows that Wout van Aert is coming from behind, and then the other group are just about to catch them. So we could have a sizable group coming in here for second place.
Second would be interesting. Let's see who's going to get that particular honour. Jesper Stuyven. It's pretty quick. He's already celebrating. Yeah, it's a big moment. That was a big moment for those riders who spent so much of their year in the service of Tadej Pogacar and getting a rare moment to shine. I suppose the UAE Team Emirates squad do a pretty good job as we get a look at Barguil just firing, but riders are kind of out of breakfast a little bit at this point, aren't they? There doesn't look to be an awful lot of power in that particular attack at any rate. But yeah, for the UAE Team Emirates squad, keeping the riders happy with their own opportunities, because they are classy bike riders in their own right. On any other team, these riders would be A-list leaders. They give themselves completely and entirely to the service of Tadej Pogacar. For the UAE Team Emirates squad, well, there are various different stage races and different teams, and they manage to keep those relatively big egos content. They've got significant financial remuneration, which makes a big difference as well, doesn't it? But these rare opportunities, they're grasped willingly, and for Tim Wellens, this is going to be a memorable day for him.
Yeah, as well as getting paid for doing your job, and that's what these riders do. They do their job. Not everybody that joins these kind of super teams gets their opportunity of a stage. Some teams try and kind of help out, but you have to first and foremost get yourself in that original kind of breakaway, and okay, had the luxury early on of not having to do anything at all, but the way he delivered this stage it's been a bit of a masterclass, but we know what he's capable of, and rest day tomorrow, so it's all been pre-planned. He wasn't there yesterday, so it's a case of rest day tomorrow, go all in today, and it's okay putting a plan together, but it's absolutely superb to pull it off.
You call that one too, Brian. And Victor Campenaerts just wound himself up for...
This is what he does, isn't it? Yeah.
late attack. It's got the gap he needs. Much cooperation is going to come from behind. So it's exactly 5 minutes and 3 seconds between the Rodriguez group and the chasers behind. Looks as if Rodriguez has done enough to at least move up one place on a general classification. Under the kites, the crowd swells in size. Time to absorb this one. He's got 1 minute and 45 seconds of an advantage. It's huge. And looks nailed on for a 1-2 for Belgium here. Does Victor Campenaerts have the legs? Does Vlasov and friends behind have the
could
legs?
be a 1-2-3 because Wout van Aert will catch them and win the punch sprint behind.
It'll be a big old day. In Carcassonne, 169 kilometres, 169.3 to be precise. That's the 0.3 plus about another couple of 100 metres. That's left of this effort from Tim Wellens. Present at all the right moments and picked his moment to absolute perfection. He's raced solo for the final 44 kilometres or so, and now he's cruising to glory into Carcassonne. 13th time that this beautiful city has played host to a stage of Tour de France, and this is certainly a memorable one. It's a cyclocross style celebration for a Belgian national road race champion. Clenched fist salute to the crowd as Tim Wellens rolls across the line. Stage 15 claimed by the UAE Team Emirates squad. A fifth stage victory of the race for that squad. But it's glory for the first time in his career in the Tour de France for Tim Wellens.
Tim Wellens remporte la victoire d'étape ici à Carcassonne en 3 heures.
He gets the relief and the 1-2. UAE once again vanquishing Visma Lisa bike on a stage of Tour de France. It's up to the domestics to see what they can achieve today, and Victor Campenaerts going to be next home. By which time team supporters, friends, colleagues and various dignitaries at the finish line to congratulate Tim Wellens. Well, Van Aert waiting to lurking could well have that 1-2-3 that you announced a moment ago. Who else has got a bit of a sprint? The Late Late Show riders arriving in. Victor Campenaerts just missing out on this occasion. Memorable performances we've seen from Campenaerts in his time. Another committed effort. He's on absolutely flying form. Wonderful climbing performance from him yesterday in the Pyrenees. And the former world hour record holder is time trial superstar. Well, we could have a Belgian third place, but would it be Jasper Stuyven? Looks like he's winding up for this one. The Belgians available to make it a 1-2-3. Stuyven into the final 100 metres or so as Wout van Aert comes off his wheel. And well, is Julian Alaphilippe going to pinch that third spot? Not to be decided. Oops. And I think is that Julian Alaphilippe thinks he's won the stage. Well, that 1:45 was it for that group coming in. Clock continues to ring, and we'll focus our attention now on the efforts of the EF Education Easy Boat squad. If it goes beyond about 6 minutes, then I think that's it for Ben Healy in 9th position, back to 10th for him. It's been a useful investment for Carlos Rodriguez. It has either way. Well earned for Victor Campenaerts, but there's nothing like winning.
Quelques minutes sans doute. Et confirmation du classement et du top 5.
UAE's beat Visma again.
Julien Alaphilippe a bel et bien réglé le sprint de la contre-attaque. Il termine 3e. Wout van Aert prend quant à lui la 4e place de l'étape.
113th rider to complete the Grand Tour trilogy, or triple, or trio. That's his 7th Grand Tour success.
So Alaphilippe spoils the Belgian party, just nipping in front of Wout van Aert there. But I generally think that you just watch it here.
He thinks he's going for the stage win here, doesn't he? He's just got on in time. Did he get there in time? Yeah, he did. Of that there can be no doubt. Third place for Luna. After the way that his day started, that is a victory. There's no doubt about that. On the deck, clutching his shoulder.
Qui vient de gagner une étape dans les 3 grands tours désormais. Après la Vuelta, après le Giro, voici la grande boucle. Le Tour de France, 41e victoire professionnelle. Un deuxième succès cette année après le titre de champion de Belgique. 2 victoires en 2025 et 2 victoires acquises de la même manière.
Back to support duty now on Tuesday. Day off tomorrow.
Il avait attaqué à 50 km de l'arrivée au championnat de Belgique où il avait résisté, où il avait tenu en respect.
It's a stage of 2 parts, if not 2 halves, isn't it? It's a pan flat, the closest thing to a flat ride you're going to get on the way to the climb.
How is looking, Tim? He's looking fabulous or not? He's looking perfect in this Belgian champion jersey.
He looks fabulous. We'll get as much of a kick out of this one as Tim Wellens.
Le voici vainqueur dans cette étape que l'on savait pour les baroudeurs, il en fait partie. Il est maintenant récompensé.
Chasing behind, last 1200. What are we expecting from from Tuesday's fair. It's a sort of a long, steady, flat ride to an horrific climb at the back end of it. It's going to be interesting to see how the teams play it.
It's like a hockey stick, isn't it? Yeah. Hockey stick stage.
There we go. It's still 825 metres. I think the clock goes over about 6 minutes or so, and there's a change. Ben Healy's there available as well to contribute here.
1:36, so 5:36 plus. Yeah, it looks as if Rodriguez is. It's 1:36 they come across. That's 4 minutes already. They need another 16 seconds.
5:52, I think, is it? Yeah, something like that.
Looks as if he's got it.
Change on GC for what it's worth. These riders battle for the minor positions, and there's honour in staying clear of the main peloton. For a long, hard day in the breakaway, you want to try and get something out of it. It's Ben Healy that will lead the peloton across the line.
It's like a sprinter. We need Sam Bennett for that.
Yeah, it's definitely the first time Ben Healy has ever led a bunch across the line. Disappointment for him ultimately, but I mean, he's got plenty of climbing opportunities, plenty of summit finish opportunities between now and the end. We've got the assault on Mont Ventoux coming up on Tuesday's 16th stage. One for the sprinters coming up on Wednesday. Then we've got the daunting prospect of the Col de la Loze summit finish. Courchevel coming up on stage 18. Stage 19 is an absolute epic in prospect as well next Friday. That's the summit finish on La Plagne. And then we've got Nantua to Pont Arlier, which is maybe one for the break, coming up at the penultimate day of racing. And then Paris-Champs-Élysées, the final stage coming up this day week. It's a slight change in the normal fair, so not necessarily one for the sprinters. Could be a bit of a sting in the tail for one or two riders. It could be entertaining. So Tadej Pogačar, all smiles, yellow jersey maintained, no threat there, and of course he will be delighted that his teammate has taken the glory on the day.
Invité Chris qui sera sur le podium, et puis Pascal Souchet, directeur de l'agence Century d'intérim au conseil 11 de Carcassonne, sera là pour le prix de la combativité. Il était là aussi tout à l'heure.
It's glory for the UAE Team Emirates squad, glory for Belgium, glory for Tim Wellens completes his Grand Tour trilogy with victory on stage 15 ahead of Victor Campenaerts and Julian Alaphilippe. Van Aert, Laurence, Vlasov and the rest have certainly animated this one. But Mauro Gianetti must be absolutely thrilled with it.